Good afternoon, everyone. This is Raven from Twisted Sisters Mojo, and recently I had talked about different things that you can use to do a love spell. Today I'm actually going to show you how to do a love spell. Now, as I spoke about in my previous video, it's honestly really never a good idea to do a love spell on a specific person, because as I had mentioned, it's either going to work fine and you're going to live happily ever after, or you're going to get infatuated with this person and can't get rid of, or they can't get rid of you, or they're going to get infatuated with you and you don't want anything to do with them and you can't get shed of them. So when you do a love spell, I mean, you can be as specific as possible without actually putting a specific name down. And today I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can do that. Now, for any basic love spell, there are a few things that you might want to use. One of those are candles. Candles are excellent in love spell. For just a basic sweet love spell, pink candles are fine, but you can also use red ones. Red ones are good. They're very good for a passionate love. And for our purposes today, we're going to carve love runes into a red candle. There's different things that I've gathered. I'm using an incense called Love, obviously. I've got my rose quartz. Rose quartz is not only good for regular love, but for self-love, for loving yourself. And really, if you don't love yourself, you're going to have a hard time getting a love relationship with anybody else. And I have several flowers that you can use to make a sachet. I have rose petals and purple cone flowers, daisies, and gardenias, which, they smell so good, and they're about done for this time of year, but they're still around. And also I've got what was called a butterfly bush, and these are good because they're sweet and they attract butterflies, and butterflies are associated with love. So, I mean, you can use all of these. Now, one thing that you can do with them is use them to make an incense with. Now, that takes a little while because you have to wait for them to dry. And I just picked these a little while ago, so obviously they're not going to be ready. But you can put them all together when they dry and crush them up and then put them in a sachet. Or you can just leave them whole like this and pick them, or leave them like this really if you want to. And also just put them in a sachet where you can put your love note if you wish. I believe this sachet has a hole in it, so we'll see. So you put them all in there. Now, I also had some little lavender with me as well. Lavender's always good for love. So you would put the sachet over to the side. Now, what I suggest is to use parchment paper and to write what your spell is. For our purposes, I'm going to say, I wish to find love. I wish to find a lasting love. Now, I used red pen for this. It really doesn't matter what color, but if you're going with the whole color thing for magic, I would really recommend pink gel pens or red markers or red ink, whatever works for you. And then you can take that, and you can also just cut it, and then you can put it in your sachet. Also, you can use stones as well to go in there. Remember, we had talked about rose quartz. Now, I'm not going to put this in there, but you can put rose quartz stones in there. Amethyst works wonderful. Even just clear quartz is like the catch-all quartz. It works for everything. And you just put this up. You can put it in a drawer if you like. You can put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day and concentrate on it. You can hang it in your car if you want to. Sleep with it under your pillow or under your bed. Just keep it near you at all times. And as I said, this one's got a little leak in it. Make sure yours doesn't have a leak because you don't want your love to leak out. Now, another thing, candles. Candles are wonderful magically. Flames themselves have been considered magical since time immemorial. It's a little noisy in here, but it's an active store. So one thing you can do is to write he and I on here and light the candles. And this spell takes about 3 days to do. What you would do is after you light the candles, you would start bringing them closer and closer and closer to each other until they're actually touching. And when you get them and they are touching, you're going to let them burn down to the bottom. Now what you can do is take what the leftover wax, if you want to mix it in with your sachet, that works as well. But as I said before, really do not put a specific name on here. You're flirting with disaster if you do. Another way to do it is to use your athame. And some people pronounce it athame, but it's athame. And you can, you can carve certain runes in it. For this one, I'm using several runes that are used for love. I'm using Iwas, Berkana, Ingus, Pertho, and Vunyo for those. And you would take your athame and you would carve those right in. These are runes that are good for love, and you just carve them into your candle as you're going. Ingus is more for physical love, not just mental love, but physical, as is Perth, which represents the womb of the woman. You can carve those right in there. But you can also do, there's Theban that you can use as well. And that's a whole nother thing that we'll talk about. You can also carve, please bring love to me. Anything will do. And you just simply light it. Now there's several trains of thought on this. I personally like to do things in 3. And I either like to start on a Sunday and end on a Wednesday, or start on a Wednesday and end on a Saturday. Yeah, and end on a Saturday. But you can also just burn it straight down if you want to. There's one thing that you have to remember in magic: there is no exact perfect way. There are always variances that you can use. So if you can't find that specific herb, that's okay. There's a substitute that you can use. Don't get so caught up in what you must have. And you, what you can do is, again, with the paper, write, please bring love to me, or whatever kind of words. You can even write it more poetically in a poem, and just put the candle on top of it and let the wax drip down on that. When you're done with it and the candles burn down and the wax is all over it, again, you can put it in your sachet, or you can put it in something and keep it. You can even throw it away if you want to, because the spell is spent at that point. But really, doing love spells is very simple. But the key ingredient there is love. And you have to remember, you gotta love yourself before you can love somebody else. So make sure that you are aligned with you before you try to attract another person to you. This has been Raven with Twisted Sisters Mojo. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We so appreciate it when you do that, and I'll see you next time.